I've had a lot of people saying, Niklas, you're playing with fire. These are Swiss national symbols, and while you are now Swiss, and we all understand that, if you're the new guy in class, maybe you don't make too much of yourself. And to those people, I'll say from the bottom of my heart, this is meant as a deep felt, from my heart, contribution to the Canton of Zug and the public, but also appreciation about the history of the Schweizerpsalm and Helvetia and how it's bound to this place. That's why, not I, but we made her, right? To commemorate these important events at the Karlshof that took place and which is a part of Swiss history and history of the Canton of Zug. And definitely it was not made to step on anyone's toes or to make a grand show of me or anyone else. Everybody knows about the Schweizerpsalm or the Swiss Psalm, the national anthem of Switzerland, and of course also of Helvetia. We see her on all the 1 and 2 franc coins. But why build the monument of Helvetia here with the Schweizerpsalm at the St. Karlshof? And it all dates back to when I first looked at this property. I was considering to buying it in order to renovate it. And I saw a small plate on the chapel wall, and it said, at this place, in 1841, Albrecht Schweizig wrote the Schweizerpsalm, the Swiss Psalm, a song of let's come together as Swiss people. There were a lot of religious strife at the time in Switzerland, and it culminated in the Sonderburgkrieg, a small civil war at the turn of the century. But Albrecht did his part not to blow additional to the fire that was already there, but tried to go the other way, and I found that very beautiful. And that something like the national anthem originate from this place, I think is also a little more worthy of something bigger than just a small plate. Delving deeper into the history of the St. Karlshof, we also found out that the Herrenhaus part was originally built by the Hauptmünchmeister Caspar Weißenbach. And his grandson, Johann Caspar Weißenbach, he was a Swiss dramatician and composer. And he composed the song and musical play Jugendfrau Helvetiae. And that was the first time you ever saw a female personification of Switzerland as Helvetia. So Helvetia herself originates also from the Karlshof. So both Helvetia and the Schweizerpsalm actually comes from this place. And once that was very clear to us, the idea originated to combine Helvetia and the Schweizerpsalm into a single monument to commemorate both events. So I had this conceptual idea of making a monument with Helvetia holding the Schweizerpsalm. When talking about Helvetia as a figure, most people would think about the one depicted on the modern Swiss franc coins. But this is by no means the first depiction of Helvetia, nor is it the last. There are some 18 or 19 historic depictions of Helvetia with significance, depending on where, of course, you make the cut, existing in stone or on coins or on banknotes, stamps, postcards, in illustrations and the like. But no two depictions are alike. Sometimes she's standing and sometimes she's sitting, and there's actually even one where she's flying. Different stances, different faces, different hairstyle, different drapery, different everything. Helvetia exists as a symbol, but not in any particular form. There is no single Helvetia at all. We went through a lot of these depictions that we could dig out from history, and in the creation process we had to make decisions, artistic and otherwise, what to actually carry into our Helvetia from all of these different and often mutually exclusive depictions, and at the same time make her unique and make her into our own. And make her wholesome and not some Frankensteinian monster hewn together from different historical pieces. A very daunting task, I might add. When you look for an artist, you must pick a style. And I favor the classical style. And there are not that many artists around who are renowned. So I had to look in the fringes, but I saw Anna Bang's work on social media and clay. And it spoke deeply to me, both the style and the spirit. I mean, what she made obviously had soul, and that was what I was looking for. And then I proposed to her to do the full-scale project. And that's 2.5 years ago.
My first thought was that this is the kind of job that you normally only get to dream of. So, I mean, saying no thanks, but not an option at all. You just had to be in this. I was really clear about how I would express her, how she would look like, how her soul was. In a way, my fingerprint was already in the clay even before I have started. So of course I needed to do this project. That is pretty much why I said yes. What do you call it? It's a life piece. I have my assistant Amy to help me also. Actually, we did a little digital modeling to figure out how she would look to turn around. When all this was landed, we started up the huge scale. This we did in Florence, in Thor's studio. He helped me building the armature and putting on all the rough clay. Then Amy and I worked there for weeks to get the right expression of her body. Because she's now in the huge scale, you actually are able to do all the small details. So we worked for months to find out the way we wanted the belt to look. I decided for the size for each piece in the belt.
And then the next step, of course, were transmuting the full-size figure into wax. That was easy. But then into bronze. I selected the Fonderia Mariani in Pietrasanta, just outside of Pisa. They have a really long history of making quite a lot of the famous bronze art in the world, including the grand doors to the Royal Cathedral in Denmark. Now the casting is a quite expensive procedure, and with a very detailed figure like Helvetia, it's a 50-50 if the first cast is the final cast. Otherwise, the part of the process has to be redone.
Ist im Morgenrot daher, seh ich dich im Strahlenmeer, dich du hochenabener herrlicher, wenn den Alpen firm sich rotet, betet freie Schweizer
Sorry, but it was a spur of the moment thing, so it doesn't sound as good. I didn't prepare, I just really got the idea at the moment I saw the liquid bronze going into the mold. And then an arduous day of waiting to see the result, because then of course the bronze had to cool, and then they chiseled off the skeleton of the mold, and then for the first time you could see Helvetia, the face and the details. For me it was hard to see if it was a successful cast.
Niklas asked me, I think she has lost her soul, I'm very scared, how will she end? And I was just saying to him, she will end with her soul, just as you saw it in the clay, I'm sure.
The boss, Adolfo, he came and he looked and he knocked on her and he said, absolutely, I'm sure it's a first cast. I could see enough of her face that I also felt that she would be the beauty that we see out there today.
I worked a lot at the retouche again with Amy to do a lot of new retouche, but with a Dremel in the very hard bronze. And not just any bronze, but cannon bronze from Niklas's production of beautiful cannons, and the leftover bronze from the cannons has been used for her. Like in the wartime, you used to melt the art pieces in the cities to make weapons. And today we're doing the opposite. Now we're making art from Niklas' cannons leftover. And then we finally got to the patina, to the coloring of her surface, where we of course also have a discussion of, what color would we see her in? I have from the beginning seen her in a little green light maybe. I knew Niklas wanted her to be more in the brown, and we find a balance in between. It was also a humbling process. There was times there where I was thinking, oh, this is hard, this is going to be hard. Sometimes she was too shiny, she was too dark, she was too light. She was standing inside in the wrong lighting. How would it be if she come out in the daylight and all that stuff? But I mean, we did it anyway, and I think it has come out beautiful. There's a lot of symbols and references hide in her. For the diadem we have it with pearls and the Swiss cross cut out in rubies. We have the city of Zug symbolized in her sword with the cherry blossom at the top and the cherry bears and leaves at her crossguard. We have the Swiss cross, of course, at her shield. She's carrying the canton of Switzerland on her hips. We have her dress. And the drapery on her dress, that was actually my first idea. I needed it to be symbolizing Switzerland's rocks, mountains and streams. Her hairstyle with her braid as a goddess would have a huge hairstyle. The Schweizerpsalm is in her right hand to symbolize that the song was written here, that here it started with the psalm. We also have a little gold in the psalm here at the lowest part of the fontaine.
It's made with love and I dare say quite a bit of artistic ability as well, from Adolfo in the Fonderia who casted her, from Anna of course who put life and soul into this figure, Poor who helped in Firenze with the scaling, all the historians and all the artists who came with input, myself included. And I so much hope that she will be accepted and loved like we love her already, and that she will be part of this place and this history long, long, long after I'm gone and forgotten.